Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, April the 6th, 2026 at 6 p.m. And welcome to the City Council meeting for the City of Bel Air Beach. I'm calling this meeting to order. And now I'm going to do a prayer invocation. Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we're coming to you tonight just to ask for your help as we get to work. We know you're the only one truly in charge, so please give us the wisdom to see things clearly and the heart to do what's right for our neighbors. Help us to work together well and keep our focus on serving this city the way you want us to. Lord, we want to ask you to look after our men and women in the military serving throughout the Middle East right now. It's a heavy time in that part of the world, and we just ask that you be their shield. Keep them safe, give them strength, and please bring them back home to their families soon. We also want to place the crew of Artemis II in your hands tonight, Lord. As our brave astronauts reach the moon this evening, we're always amazed by the wonders of your creation. Please watch over their spacecraft, named Integrity, as they make this historic journey. Keep them out of harm's way and bring them safely back home to us. We entrust this meeting and our community to your care. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, now please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Frank Bankert.
Present.
Councilmember Kimberly Shaw Elliott.
Present.
Councilmember Todd Harper.
Present.
Councilmember Jody Shirley.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lloyd Roberts.
Here.
Mayor Dave Gaddis.
Present.
City Manager Kyle Riefler.
Here.
City Attorney Tom Trask.
Here. All right, thank you, Kathy. Our first order of business is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion for approval?
Second.
Motion is made by Frank Bankert and seconded by
Jody.
Jody Shirley. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The agenda is approved. Now we're on to item number 2, which is a presentation from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, beginning with law enforcement monthly report. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. This is my first time at this meeting, so hopefully I answer all your questions that you got. At the end, if you have anything, just feel free to interrupt me and let me know. So we had in Bel Air Beach for
One
the
second. Can I get you to start off with your name?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Corporal Denhart.
All right.
In the month of February, we had a total of 438 calls for service. Those range anywhere from traffic stops to directed patrols, deputies conducting foot patrols on the beach, all those sorts of things. During the month of February, we also had 7 total arrests, with the worst one being a residential burglary. From my understanding, that was where a gentleman was on drugs. He jumped off of a balcony onto someone else's balcony and attempted to get inside. The deputies were able to capture him shortly after that. That was that call for service. We also had 146 traffic stops that resulted in either warnings or citations. And I believe we only had 1 accident in the city of Bel Air Beach during that month. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Questions or comments from the council? Surprisingly, yes, go right ahead, Vice Mayor.
I did see in February of 26 there was a sex offense. Do you have any details on
I
that?
don't think I saw that. Let me double check here. I don't. I can go out there and research it and I will let you know.
Thank you.
Of course.
Do you expect next month's report to be much more exciting?
I hope it's the same.
Okay.
I'll try to say so.
We do too. We were
Yes.
just wondering how spring break has been packed.
So far across all beaches, it's been good.
Great.
They've been
Glad to
behaving.
hear it. Any other questions or comments for the corporal? All right, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Next up, Deputy Trump with the code enforcement report. Deputy.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for having me. I'm Deputy Crumpler, Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and I'm doing your code enforcement for the city of Bel Air Beach. Basically, this month was a relatively slower month. This month was a relatively slower month. We didn't have a whole lot of new cases as far as anything with precedents. We are still working on some of the normals with the rental properties that we're still chasing down and getting those registered. We are getting some compliance, and then we're finding more as we go along through Verbo and stuff. And I have a great little investigator that's in our office, and she's been helping out quite a bit as far as that. So that she sends me those reports, and we go out and we try and investigate those. Other than that, we're watching the numerous construction sites that we have out here, trying to at least keep them cleaned up and in order and in compliance as far as making sure concrete's not going down the gutterways and making sure that they have socks around any of the gutters and things like that, so we don't get concrete down into the stormwater drains. And basically trying to tend to the complaints that we have, because some of the areas are there's just no room for all the trucks and everything else. So we're fighting the parking complaints and everything else. We're working through those as much as we possibly can. So for the month, I had 38 new cases, 33 follow-ups. We were able to close 40 cases, and currently we have 26 open cases, which are everything from no permits. That we found one that's holding off, and that's with the county. I'm working with also, and we have a couple others that are holding out there that we're just waiting for final permits to come in, but they're open cases. One of the big things that we are starting to work on, and I'm trying to watch myself, is we are watching for, and we'd like to get this out to everybody, is to please follow the Southwest Florida Water Management District and the Pinellas County website for your times, because we are in a phase 3 watering restriction. I know I put a notice out this morning. I worked with another condominium at the 3100 block of Gulf Boulevard last week. They're supposed to be getting adjusted, so I have to follow up on that one, because I finally got a hold of the owners there. But I'd like to just give you a snippet of the email that we got from Pinellas County today that I think everybody would be interested. It's basically we're phase 3 water shortage and restrictions from the Southwest Florida Water Management District that starting April 17th, the Southwest Florida Water Management District has instructed the Water Conservation Compliance to begin issuing citations, which are $193, without education or warning first. So the more people spreading the word, the better. So we are trying to get this word out. I'm trying to hang tags on people that I notice are watering when they're not supposed to be, like early in the morning, or their sprinklers are going out into the road and things like that. So we're trying to get that out. And I think we're actually going to type something up here and put it out on the website, so we can try and get this word out. So Pinellas County is going to start patrolling, doing their own patrols. And if they, especially after the 17th, they're going to start issuing citations for $193 to start. So if we can spread that word, it'd be one of the best things that we can do. Any questions that I can answer for right now?
Council? Yes, Frank Baker.
On page 6, I guess you got a call about dog excessive barking. It says you went out, the neighbors complaining about the dog barking. We don't have an ordinance about dog barking. I know Pinellas County does, but what do you do in a situation like that? Because I got people asking me about dog. I'm a dog lover.
We don't necessarily have a code against the dogs barking unless they cause a nuisance. If it's deemed a nuisance, then we can do a little bit more about it. But right now, if somebody has a complaint about it, by all means forward it to me. I'm more than happy to go out and talk to the homeowners and let them know.
I know Pinellas County, and it's 15 minutes and 8 hours.
I would have to read that. I'm sorry, I'm just not familiar with their ordinance on it.
Okay, I just was curious.
But if there's a complaint, by all means, send it to me. I'm more than happy to, go out and try and address it where we can.
Thank you.
I have just a couple comments. I appreciate very much your attentiveness to some of the environmental issues. I wasn't even aware of the fact that there could be concrete going into our stormwater system, so thank you very much for your attentiveness to that as well as the water preservation.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I have a positive comment. A citizen called me actually this morning, and as you would know, Deputy Trump, most of the time you're the bearer of bad news when you're knocking on the door, which in this case was true. However, at the end of the conversation, they were complimenting you very much about, although you had bad news for them, the way you delivered it was very professional and made them feel at ease and comfortable. So maybe you don't get that positive feedback all the time, so I just want to pass that on.
I appreciate that, sir. We try to work with everybody as fair as we can.
I
Thank you.
have a quick question, if I may. Are we doing anything about docks? Are we monitoring docks at all? Are we
Yes,
able
ma'am.
to do?
Yes, ma'am. We actually have, I think, 2 cases right now. The one's finishing up, and I actually got notice on one today that I need to follow up. They emailed into the city that said that they completed it. Maybe not necessarily rebuilding it completely, but if it's in deteriorated state to the point that it would be a danger, or things breaking off of it and possibly getting into the water, yes, ma'am, we're addressing it.
Okay, because I was out this weekend and noticed a few that were in pretty bad condition with words sticking up and what have you, and I just was wondering if the sheriff was doing any.
We will be more than happy to address those. Unfortunately, it's hard for me to see,
Right,
obviously,
that's-
from the street, but I'm more than happy to address them if we get a complaint on them, or, maybe
So we're back
possibly.
to, we don't have a boat, so we're not looking at them, and the sheriff boat is not taking the tour around the neighborhood. Is that-
It is possible. I might be able to get with the Marine unit and see if I could get them right around the city one day, and maybe we can make note of a few of these. So I'm more than happy to work on it.
Okay, yeah, just curious, and I'll share with you at another time if we're not noticed.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've taken the city around in the past on my little boat, and if that's an option, we can do that too.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
The only thing that I wanted to bring up was the rentals. So are any of these short-term rentals, or are they just putting them up for rent and they're not permitted to do that?
Well, we've checked on a few of them that have been listed, say, on Vrbo, and one was rented for, quite a few of them have been in compliance. They know the rule. They've been doing them for a minimum of 90 days, I apologize. So we are checking on those. There are a few that are listed on Vrbo that we've been making sure we've been putting the door hangers on and making sure that they know the rules as far as minimum 90 days, plus the fact that they have to register it through the city and pay the rental registration fee. Got some good feedback, some bad feedback, but mostly, everybody understands the way that it is written right at the moment. A lot of people are questioning the fact that, okay, well, I haven't rented it yet, so that's why I haven't paid my fee. So there's a little bit of a question there. We're trying to work out with, some of the verbiage in there and however. But for the most part, everybody's been in compliance, and I've been able to get a hold of a few, and they've been writing them for a year, or however. Usually they're pretty good about showing me their contracts.
All right, and Kyle, so are they supposed to actually have this registration before they put them up for rent, or is this an after the fact?
If the way it's worded, if they're renting, they're supposed to be registered with the city. When we see the advertisement, we're trying to let them know ahead of time that if you sign a lease agreement with somebody, get registered. Because you need to be registered. We try to send out every January on every non-homesteaded property a notice to let them know. But in the past years, a lot of people are repeats, so it's been causing some frustration for the residents getting back to us. We told you we're not going to arrange it for rent. So we tried to modify that process by keeping track of who's repeat and not have to send an email every year. I was thinking, the searching capabilities of the property appraiser website tends to keep getting better. So there may be a way we can separate it out if it's been a recent sale or something, and we'll produce an export so we can have it on this.
Is this something that we need to address while we're reviewing code?
If there's any concerns or anything surrounding the rental registration process, it's worth a discussion.
Let's add that to the work session towards the end of the month. Deputy Trump, I appreciate you watching everything and keeping a mindful eye over our community. Doing a great job. Thank you very much.
And part of your last question to the deputy, or I'm sorry, to the corporal and stuff is, I think we had a pretty successful so far spring break. I did a lot of beach patrols, extra beach patrols out in the ATV, and everybody seemed to be having a good time and behaving themselves basically. So I think we had a pretty good.
That's good. Glad to hear it. Any other questions or comments? No? All right. Thank you so much for being here. All right. Oh,
I have an answer for the vice mayor.
okay.
Regarding the sex offense that happened, she was found on Clearwater Beach, heavily intoxicated. She told officers there that it happened at a marina. They pinpointed it or believed that it was at our marina here. And through detectives, it wasn't here, it was actually in Clearwater. But they took the case on and she decided not to prosecute. So that was that case.
Thank you.
I appreciate you looking that up.
Of course, thank you.
All right, now we are on to item 3, which is a presentation of another Suncoast Fire and Rescue District. Welcome, Chief.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners. Thanks for having me here to show you the technology working.
Thank you for the handouts, by the way.
Oh yeah, you bet. I really like the technology. I'm trying to step it up and compete with the Sheriff's Department because they do such a good job. Okay. Yes, Ken, thank you for having me. Because we have the PowerPoint, I like to, this was a fire we had in the district. It wasn't in Bel Air Beach, but I like to just start off with, this was looking across the Intercoastal Waterway into the mainland, and it was in our district. And so we have about a little more than one of these a month, where we actually have a real structure fire. So the gentlemen really, the firefighters, ladies and gentlemen really do an amazing job. I started to put together more because I think data tells a story if you look at it over time. So this is all of our data. But what I would point out is, because it's confusing, on the left is the calls that happened in Bel Air Beach, if you look at that line. And then on the right are the calls that we responded to in Bel Air Beach. So I circled the two numbers because it really shows the contrast. There were 86 calls in Bel Air Beach. We did 9 of those, and the other ones were all done by either Largo or Clearwater or Seminole or another jurisdiction. And it's really how our system works now because it always sends the closest unit. There could be somebody just driving by and they'll catch the call because they're closer. In the olden days, they would just call us because it was in our district. And then they had these 3x5 cars, they literally called them run cars, that said, oh, if they're busy, call them, the next close, the next close, the next close. So it used to be a very archaic system. Now it's amazing. So what it amounted to is the average response time in Bel Air Beach this month was 6 minutes and 12 seconds, that means half of them are under that, half of them are over that, but that's the average. It's not acceptable, as we've talked about, but that's what it is. We'll watch that number change as soon as we put the North Station up here, so that's awesome. I just broke down the numbers in some bigger PowerPoints. EMS versus fire calls by month, going back a year, and then just overall calls. So it shows some seasonality. I do have a note to myself to check where the month where it has 2 total calls. It's hard to believe. I think there might be a data problem there. You can see the sort of wave, and we've talked about how it's been getting busier. So this month, unlike the police reports, we were as busiest month we've had for Bel Air Beach, which is 19 calls. And so for me, I feel like that's a repopulation after the hurricanes, but I'm not sure. Most of those are EMS calls, so flip through it.
Chief?
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you go to the previous line?
Yes.
So you referenced the 79 calls that took place. Of the 86 calls, you're saying 79 of those calls were actually handled by other dispatch agencies,
Correct. That's
My question is really on the inverse, and that is what percentage of your calls are actually outside of your district?
That's a great question because it's something I'm working on. If you look at the bottom of the right screen, it shows mutual aid calls. So basically, it's about 50% of our overall calls are outside of our district. So we're responding to them as much as they're responding to us. Actually, I think our share is disproportionate, and so it's something. It's one of those things that we're talking to the county about now that we have data, like we shared at the workshop, where the percent of EMS funds that go outside the district, which we're at 53% right now, stay with us, and the others goes out. So we're working on trying to. There is a certain Robin Hood effect, but I call it, where we help fund areas that don't have the funding, but we'd like to see that equal out.
I asked the question really from the mindset that if you are disproportionately being handled by the other agencies, that would tell me that you have a resource shortage that you need to overcome, because to your point, it should be a balance, give and take. Is that a fair perspective?
Yeah, there's a missing piece there. The problem here is what we've talked about in our presentations. You simply just don't have a station close.
Right.
From our perspective, we're responding to almost 100% of our other calls in our district.
Okay.
About 50% of our calls are
The disparity here is purely because of the North Station.
Right, yes.
That offers clarity that I was looking for.
Okay, thank you. All right. So fire versus EMS, and then total overall calls, fire and EMS. We received a check, which was nice, from the state chief financial officer this month. It was a small check, but we're trying to work out how do we get more of those to be good stewards of the taxpayer. This was actually, I took credit for it in February, it wasn't in March, but where we did the CPR class here, which came out of our public meetings, and where your citizens asked for like CPR classes, and so we've actually made a group of CPR instructors, and we're anxious to do that more as you need it. So just overall, Station 28 is the one on the mainland. It got torn down and it's being rebuilt. Station 27 just got finished from the flood, just like so many of the residents up here. And now we're working on, the state gave us $1 million grant to remodel that station and mitigate some more. 26, which is the station south, we're working on the Tiki Gardens project, which we've talked about. And we have a resolution into you all asking for support for that. Station 75, which is the north station up here. We will be in service October 1st with that station, which will fix a lot of the coverage issues we've talked about. That's also in the resolution for support. And we've got permits, and we've released an RFP for rehabbing that house. That house is in the same shape as your house. So, and we still just, are asking for alignment with our, we presented to the Emergency Medical Service Advisory Board, which the mayor is on, and I will say he's tactical, and he spoke up just at the right time in support of this community receiving its appropriate share of funding and positions. So we've asked them for one position to make a rescue at 27, which is the station down in the Narrows, and then the one paramedic position for the station up here. And the mayor spoke up about that. I spoke to the chair after the meeting, and that went really well. I think we're like number one on the hit list. Let's see where that goes. I did want to mention the temporary housing. We call it temporary PTL, something like that. So there's a definition in the state code. We have an ordinance as well. We don't call it an ordinance, it's a resolution for us on temporary housing, how our fee schedule applies to them. And so this is the first year we have to submit to the tax collector's office a list of those. And so we're incentivized to come up with an accurate list. So we'll be working with you. But we're heavily involved in determining where the temporary housing, and for us, it's less than 30-day rental, and it's more than 3 times a year is the definition. And we have them in all of our cities. And there's a computer program there's a few out there, one's called Granicus that we have access to, which is a web crawler, and it crawls and finds them. And so then you have the backup data too. It says, oh, you rented it 3 times, this last year on these dates to these people, so it has a lot of data that you can go out there and get. So we'll be happy to work with you. I talked to Officer Trump a little bit about it before the meeting. As we identify those, we'll try to help. That's it.
Questions or comments from the council?
Are we claiming that TV or are you taking it back?
Someday I'm going to get it back. I don't know.
Is there anything we can do about adverse possession of that TV?
I don't know, but I like it.
I actually bought it for Station 28, which is finished construction January of next year. So if you guys like it, I think it'll be here. And we use your place once a month for our meeting, and I really like having it. So
It's nice.
I think you're safe for a while. As long as you want it, we're good.
Other comments? Questions? No? All right. Thank you, Chief Grimes. I appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for working so hard for our community. I appreciate that. All right. Now we are up to item number 4, a presentation from Peter Schatzel, CPA of Wells, Howard, and Schatzel. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I don't know how to stop sharing.
I already changed it.
Oh, okay.
You got booted on that one. It just happens. It's this.
It's good.
Thank you, Mayor, for the introduction. I am Peter Schatzel, accounting firm Wells, Hauser, Schatzel. I'd like to start off by thanking the council for giving our firm the opportunity to serve as your auditors. The fiscal year 2025 represents the second year that we've conducted the city's audit. Kyle and I have tried to synchronize my presentation. Our report is over 100 pages long, and you have other topics on your agenda. So what I try to do is really just hit the highlights. If there's anything that I gloss over or miss, in your opinion, please don't hesitate to ask the question. I'd like to start off presentation. It's always a good way to start a presentation to indicate that the city of Bel Air Beach does remain in sound financial condition. As I go through my presentation, I think that'll become apparent.
Mr. Schatzel, can you hold on one second? Council, I'm going to ask that everyone just hold your questions and comments. If Mr. Schatzel crosses something that you want to ask him about after the end of his presentation, please jot down a note, and then we'll come back to everyone for questions. All right? Please continue, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, more of a general comment for you is that we did find the city's accounting records to be accurate and complete. From an auditor, that's a very, very important attribute. We did not have to spend really any undue time in attempting to correct your accounting records. Throughout the audit, we looked at a lot of transactions, and we did not note any type of a transaction, whether it be a receipt of funds or a check written or a payroll transaction. But my point is that we did not find any transaction that was not properly documented. The time that we spent on the audit, all of our actual audit procedures were done on site here at City Hall. We incurred 607 hours in total on the total process, which starts with our planning all the way through to the preparation of the annual comprehensive financial report. I do want to assure you that our audit team is here on site. We're not doing the audit virtually. I'm going to now start going through certain pages in the report. Our most important referred to as our independent auditor's report. And it's in that report that we give you the most assurance that we can, in which we indicate that, in our opinion, based upon the audit procedures that we conducted, that your financial statements are in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles for a governmental entity. One item that I don't want to ignore, because it might raise a question, but on page 1, in the middle of that page, there's an emphasis of matter, change in accounting principle. And on certain pages of the financial statements, you'll see where we have a column heading, and the column heading is that it's going to be stated. And just to be very briefly, without getting into all of the accounting technical aspects of this change, but the Governmental Accounting Standards Board changed the way that all governmental entities are to account for compensated absences. The City of Bel Air Beach has been accounting for compensated absences all along. There was a change in how they wanted that to be done, with more of an eye towards anticipating the use of sick pay, even though someone hasn't vested. It had not a very significant impact on the city's financial statements. That change was only about $18,000. I wanted to bring it up because when it says restatement, it was not the correction of an error. When there's an accounting change, you go back to the earliest period that's being presented in the report and you restate that. So for fiscal year 24, we made that $18,000 restatement. That's more than what you wanted to know about that change in accounting principle. The next page that I'll go to is page 22. All of my presentation centers on basically going through the financial statements that address each individual fund. There are government-wide financial statements that come at the very beginning of the report. Those government-wide statements are required, but I don't really devote any time to them because from a management standpoint, you're looking at each individual fund, you budget by each individual fund. So basically the thrust of my presentation is to look at the city's four accounting funds. On page 22, which is the balance sheet for the governmental funds. The governmental funds consist of the general fund and the capital projects fund. And just to point out, looking at the general fund for the assets, for cash and investments, the total at the end of fiscal year 2025 is $5,260,000. That is there was a decrease of about $21,000 compared to the year before. So there was not a real significant change in the cash balance of the general fund. In the capital projects fund, its total cash and investments is $1,385,000, and that's down about $188,000 from the year before. The capital projects fund is unlike the general fund, which is somewhat easier to predict and budget for. And the capital projects fund is basically it's driven by what type of projects are currently being worked on in any given year. One of the I think an important item to point out to you is in the general fund column, it's one of at the very bottom of the page under the fund balances. There's a caption called unassigned, and that dollar amount is $4,575,000, and that represents the unencumbered portion of the general fund balance, and that amount equates to about 23 months worth of general fund operating expenditures. It doesn't anticipate anything unusual. It doesn't anticipate any type of capital expenditure. So you have close to 2 years of operating expenditures of the general fund in that unassigned balance. And so what coincidentally, probably not coincidentally, is it was that same number last year. You had 23 months of operating expenditures in your general fund unassigned balance. I think that would be, in my initial comment about your being in sound financial condition, that's one of the indicators that you're in sound financial condition. The next page that I'm addressing is on page 24. Again, just try to point out some highlights. For the general fund, the total revenues for the year were $4,610,000. That represents an increase of approximately $1,023,000 over the year before. And where that increase came from, the most significant portion was from the FEMA reimbursement that was received by the city for the casualty loss from Hurricane Helene and Milton. That was $956,000 that the city received. And there was an increase in revenues from the city's ad valorem tax of almost $153,000. The general fund expenditures increased by somewhat of a corresponding amount. Expenditures increased by $1,060,000. And as you would expect, that increase was really largely due to the costs that were incurred by the city of Bel Air Beach in their recovery from Helene and Milton. The bulk of the costs were incurred by the physical environment department, and it was slightly over $1 million of additional costs that the city incurred. Again, focusing on the general fund, about 2/3 of the way down the page, there was an excess of revenues over expenditures of $1,227,000. And again, show how consistent the city's operations are. The year before, that excess was $1,265,000. Basically, all of the excess that the general fund had generated was needed to be transferred to the to the stormwater fund. And it reflects the transfer out was $1,245,000. Over the past several years, as you know, there have been very significant amount of expenditures in the stormwater fund. So it is not a self-sustaining fund. So pretty much all of that in the past several years, the additional costs needed for the stormwater improvements is coming out of the general fund. The next page is, excuse me, the next page I'm focusing on is on page 26. And
Next station, select a speed, connecting, HD, cloud plan, upgradable, Basin, Neely 0961700 CCTL, upgradable.
So on page 26 is the balance sheet for the stormwater and for the city's marijuana fund. And just to some brief observations, as I indicated just a moment ago, the stormwater fund is not self-sustaining. You have been spending a lot on stormwater improvements. So the cash balance in the stormwater fund is at a low point of $36,494. Just to give you a sense of the stormwater expenditures, in the fiscal year '25, the city expended $1,263,000 on stormwater improvements. So it's definitely has been a major emphasis. Going over to on page 27, which is basically the income statement for the Marina Fund and the Stormwater Fund. And as far as the charge for services from the Marina, there was an increase in revenues of about $11,000 compared to last year. And then the stormwater fees increased to about $4,600. As you can see by the charges for services in the stormwater fund, there's approximately $181,000, which accounts for the fact that it needs to be subsidized for these major improvements. Now, I'm going to go over to page 49, which is it's the budgetary comparison schedule for the general fund. What I wanted to point out to you is that on that statement, it shows the amount originally budgeted by the city, and then, as you do every year, there are amendments made to the budget at the end of the year. And just to, again, I guess give you a sense on how to get perhaps more information off of this statement is that in addition to doing the comparison to the budget, in the far right-hand column, it also gives you the prior year amount. So you can see on the ad valorem taxes went from $1,595,000 to $1,748,000 in 2025. About 2/3 of the page, down the page, there reports the federal FEMA reimbursement. As you know, that at the outset, when you were doing your budget prior, several months before October 1st of '24, you weren't anticipating having to receive any FEMA funding. So there was a budget amendment to budget for $1 million. And you can see the actual was $956,000. Going over to page 50, on page 50, it's a continuation of the same statement. And just a quarter of the page down shows the interest revenues. And this is just for the general fund. But you budgeted $130,000 initially for interest income. And the actual amount was $203,000. So you definitely had a favorable variance going from the original budget to the amount of the actual. And on miscellaneous income is somewhat of a large amount. The actual amount was $104,000. And what that consists of, for the most part, were insurance reimbursements that you received from insurance companies for coverage that you did have. So that was in addition to the FEMA reimbursement. Going over to page 51, again, which is a continuation of the general fund budget comparison. One of the areas where you had somewhat of an increase in expenditures was in the contract with Niles County Sheriff, and there's about a $63,000 increase in the expenditures compared to the year before. As I mentioned earlier, the costs that were incurred by your Public Works Department for the hurricane recovery. Again, at the time the budget was done, we were not anticipating that, and we budgeted approximately $190,000. The actual operating expenditures in Public Works ended up being $1,195,000. So again, as I mentioned earlier, that's where really almost all of the costs incurred for the recovery have been recorded. I'd like to go to page 56. And it's somewhat of a repeat of what I mentioned earlier. But, on page 56 is a budgetary comparison for the stormwater fund. In that comparison, it does show that the original budget for stormwater improvements was $220,000, and the actual expenditures came in at $1,263,000. So a fairly significant budget amendment had to be made to bring that up. So in looking at this budgetary statement is more on what we call a cash basis. So in addition to including operating expenditures, it also includes capital outlay, and it also includes an unpaid on debt service. And so Mr. Warren took in $188,600, and the amount that was dispersed from a cash standpoint was approximately $1,844,000. So there was a negative cash flow of $1,655,000. And how that was covered were transfers from the general fund in the capital projects fund. The last page that I wanted to just quickly go over with you is on page 89. And on page 89 is our independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance. And in this report, we indicate that we did not note any significant deficiencies in the city's internal control. We really didn't note anything that we would feel that we need to bring to your attention. Our compliance, where in addition to looking at the city's codification of ordinances, insofar as you're adhering to them, and especially in the treasury functions, but also we're looking at if there was any grant compliance that needed to be adhered to. And in this report, reporting that we did not note any issues of non-compliance. So those were the areas that I wanted to go over. Sorry to be droning on for a long period of time, but I welcome any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Schatzel. And you did a great job of summarizing this report, so don't feel like you were rambling on forever. It was exactly what we needed. Council, any questions or comments for Mr. Schatzel?
I have a few, if I may. One is, if you could refresh our memory, I know Heather used to be doing the day-to-day accounting entries, and who's accountable for that now?
Right. Heather was employed by Andrew Tess. Andrew Tess is the one who the city actually enters into the contract with for the accounting services. So after Heather left, which I think was in November of 25, it was taken over by Andrew Tess.
Okay, thank you.
He's maintaining the records.
You had mentioned that you conduct an on-site audit, and I just wanted to say that I was part of the committee that reviewed the applicants for this role, and that was one of the really prominent issues for us, is that you do conduct and had offered to conduct an on-site audit. I think it's very important, so thank you for doing that.
I definitely agree with you.
just as a side note, I was part of an audit one time where the only way they found out that people were doing stuff on the side that were off the books is that an on-site auditor found a track where there used to be another filing cabinet. And since that impression was on the floor, they knew to look for other records. The other thing is that we have a couple of major expenditures that are going to be coming up in the next couple of years. One is an entire bridge will likely be replaced, and we may have some needs for more capital improvements regarding stormwater improvements. How do we deal with that, and how do we recognize those upcoming expenses?
Well, I can tell from having gone through the council minutes that you have engaged consultants, especially on the bridge area. And I think they have devoted a fair amount of time in looking at what your options are. And I know that the one extreme is basically how to replace that one bridge. I think when you get into a situation where you have such a large capital outlay that you have to address, is that you typically have to go out and borrow. So either going through a local financial institution, going through the Florida League of Cities, basically will hook you up with typically a local financial institution. And oftentimes it's done in the form of bonds. So to answer your question, I think you definitely you would have to go out and incur additional debt.
Thank you.
Other questions? Council? No? Thank you for this report. And thank you for being here this evening. And as always, we appreciate all of your hard work and making us look good.
So thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
All right, now we are up to the quarterly board reports. We'll start out with the Board of Adjustments report from Mike Kelly. Mr. Kelly?
Good evening. As all of you council members know, the Board of Adjustment meets on an as-needed basis. The average number of cases we hear a year is probably 4. This quarter, we've had 7. We've had 3 meetings and heard seven different cases. A couple of them have been tabled and have rolled over month to month, but we've been here in January, February, March. So there's been a lot of experience gained by all of our veteran members of the board. One in particular, a gentleman whose name is coming up on your agenda, item number 23 for reappointment, is one of our alternates. His name is Matt Dixon, and we are thrilled that not only did we have a person in that position to be here in case somebody can't make it, Matt has attended and participated and voted in every single one of the meetings we've had since his appointment back in Kathy, middle of last year. So the guy hit the ground running. He's filled to be 6 to 7 members at each meeting, and I strongly endorse his reappointment on behalf of the board, of our board, to your council coming up later in the meeting. In terms of curiosity, most of the cases we're hearing involve new construction related to raising homes. We've seen an increase in the people involved in whether they're tearing down, building a new one. They tend to be setback requirements that they've come to us for. We always get our pool once a quarter for raising above the crown of the road. We deal with that accordingly. And in many cases that we've seen in the past 3 months, the bulk has been new construction. Without getting into each individual case, we've given a fair time to each of them. A couple of them have been tabled to move up to another month. So we're seeing more activity because the board itself is getting more involved in making sure everything's done correctly and before we even vote on it. So, you guys have any questions? Have it.
Council?
I do. You're aware that on our agenda today is also a proposal to lower the limit for the difference between the floor and the crest of the road. And you just mentioned that you had a lot of experience with that. So could you share some of that experience and what your view is on how that ordinance should be addressed?
Kyle, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't that come up related to the foundation of the home,
Yes.
not the pools?
He's referencing the garage floor.
Oh, so you haven't had that come up from a garage floor situation?
Never.
Okay, so it's always been the pool?
Always the pools.
And what have been the issues there and how they've been resolved?
It relates to the elevation of the pool in relation to the proximity to the home. In many cases, if a home was built 25 or 30 or 35 inches higher than the crown of the road, and then people want to put a pool in, and the pool would be adjacent to stepping out of your home down 4 inches or 6 inches, you want that pool elevation to be up close to what the foundation of the house is, in which case it vastly exceeds the 18-inch crown regulation that the city has. So we need every single one of them relative to the condition and the elevation of the home. It has nothing to do with the garage floor whatsoever. We're just seeing an increase in the number of cases for pools only, not for elevations of the home.
Other questions, comments? All right, as always, it's been a pleasure.
Thank
so
you.
much for serving our community, and we'll see you in the next quarter, if
Thank
not
you.
sooner.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, up next is the Citizen Advisory Committee. Ron Siganek. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council. The Citizens Advisory Council met once this quarter. It was on March 24th. We met, we're in our second hat, the Audit Committee, so we got to spend time with Mr. Schatzel earlier and go through the audit. We approved the audit, recommended it be presented to you as they presented it. They did a great job. Little side conversation we had, one of the members brought up an exercise we did a couple years ago where we looked at the liquidity of the city with the excess cash balances and the investments at the SBA relative to our debt. Does it make sense to continue to carry that debt or prepay it? And just in a quick conversation, we felt that our decision a couple years ago remains steady, that the debt we have is minimal, and the SBA is paying a very almost equal return to what our interest expense is. So we recommend that. And then for your question, Councilmember Elliott, yeah, I think if there's a need in the future, we'll be happy to jump in and look at if we need to take on some additional debt.
Thank you, sir. Council, any other questions or comments?
That was really good work when you dealt with that situation. It was perfect time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for serving our city. All right, up next, Parks and Recreation. Welcome, Ms. Roberts.
Hello, good evening. Is that the right level?
Perfect.
I'm Patty Roberts, Chairman of Parks and Rec Committee, and our members are John Wagner, Pete Mahalik, Kendra Covert, and Michael Leeds. And we have our meetings monthly. And we are looking for more volunteers always, because people move, whatever. But I just want to bring you up to date because we haven't had a quarterly report from Parks and Rec since April or May of 24. Because we had no meetings in 25 until October. Because there was this little storm that hit and people were misplaced everywhere from our committee. So, some of the things I want to tell you about are, we always have merchandise for sale. Hats, beach towels, t-shirts are the main things, ranging from $15 to $20. Actually, before the storm, we started a mural at Morgan Park. The storm damaged it just a little, but the artist came back and he fixed what he had already done and finished it. So if you haven't been down there and looked at it, it's around the bathrooms. It's on 3 sides of the bathroom, and it's really pretty, dolphins and turtles. some of our community events, we're trying to do one a quarter at this time. That's what we're planning. So in November, we had a big shindig for the birthday bash. And it was the staff and Parks and Rec that hosted this. Was a little apprehensive because I thought 10 people would show up. And we had over 200. So it was great. Everybody had a lot of fun. There was music and food and drinks and just a lot of people meeting each other and new neighbors. It was great. Very successful. In December, we had the holiday social and tree lighting. There were a few more people than last year, but not enough as far as we were concerned. So we're going to step it up next year. So be thinking about this. We want to make it more of a Christmas holiday party where you can either maybe wear an ugly Christmas sweater or dress up nice. So, with like cocktail dresses, whatever, we decide, or y'all decide. But we want to step it up a little bit. Okay, the next one was March. Our first spring event was our health and wellness fair. How many people came? Did you come to my? Thank you. It was great. Again, apprehensive. We had 28 vendors because we had the wonderful fire department where he did his CPR training in there. And we had One Blood, and we had the police department. We had Frank's group with the dogs, SPCA, Pinellas County Animal Services. And we had everything from game day for men to massage to stretch lab, lots and lots of different people. One lady gave free B12 shots. Okay, so again, another successful event. Very excited. Excuse me. A couple of the reasons why these were successful, in my opinion, is Kyle and his group put out a banner for the 75th birthday. They put out a banner for the Health and Wellness Fair. And we also had street signs. And we had them up north and south along Gulf Boulevard. So we think that's why more people showed up. Monthly, we have beach cleanup. First Saturday of every month at 8 o'clock at 19th Street. Mr. Bankert and his wife are there every single time. They are great. I can always count on them. It won't be empty. Also, last month we had 12 attendees. This month we had 18. So we were so excited because usually we have 5. So we're very excited. And again, more street signs. We added, I think, 10 to our number of, we had 10, so we added 10 more. And we put more signs out, more people saw it, because we asked them, how did you know about us? They said the sign. So again, thank you to Kyle and his crew and Miss Kathy, because they are very helpful with all of these things. Also ongoing is yoga and dance classes, which are usually in this room. There's, you can ask Andrea at the front or look on the bulletin board because there's always information about those activities. Okay, here's upcoming events. For the summer, our big event, we would like to, and we're working on it, to have a family game night with a pickleball tournament. It's not a big giant pickleball tournament, a small pickleball tournament. So we can get families up here and we can play, yard darts or Jenga or cornhole and all that. Board games in here, possibly music bingo. So something to look forward to. Hopefully, if you have any ideas, please see any of us. Because we want that one to turn out well too. Now, something we're going to ask for is help and support for our medians and landscaping them. And the front, if we can get Bel Air Shore to agree, the front of each parking lot and the front of Morgan Park, they just need a little help mulch, some other vegetation. The medians need everything because there's been nothing there since the storm. And because 2 of the medians, some people decided to knock our palm trees down at 19 and Howard, I believe it is. Is Howard?
Harrison, by the Marina.
Yeah. So we want to make those look a lot better. I mean, this is Bel Air Beach. It should be beautiful all the time. And we're behind on that because we've been trying to think about the medians for a long time, but it's hard with the trees being propped up. Let's see, what else? Oh, for a fall event, we would like to do a tailgate / ball game. Watch a ball game, tailgate, and or barbecue, chili cook-off, maybe, Mr. Mayor. So that's the kind of things we're looking for the summer and the fall. Oh, I think I left out park surveys. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, we do some park surveys for the city where we put the date, the time, the facility we're looking at, like Morgan Park or 25th Street or South Park. And we just observed, what do we see? A broken curb, a dead bush or something. And we report this. And Aaron and Kyle, Kathy, put together a spreadsheet that puts all of the, I'm trying to think, items that need to be repaired or fixed in some way in an order of what's most important to what's least important. And then they start working on them. And we do that twice a year, so spring and fall. There's one more thing. Oh, did I say June 6th for that family fun night thing? That's our tentative date. Okay. We also want help with First Street, the park there. The city manager was telling me that they're having a lot of trouble with people trespassing with vehicles, tire tracks and things. So if there's something that we can do, maybe a permanent vegetation barrier that you couldn't really drive your car through. So again, that's something else we'll be asking for help. And 2 other big ideas that are on the wish list for Parks and Rec are possibly a workout thing that when you walk in the trail and you stop here at the playground, or maybe you have little kids or great kids that come and play in the playground, you can be working out at the same time. There's lots of different varieties where you can have one piece and it's got 4 pieces of equipment around it, or you might have 2 or 3. I've looked into it, it's not a huge expense if you get the right ones. And the staff also told me they could put it in, we wouldn't have to have the company put it in, which saves a huge amount of money. And then the last thing is the tennis courts. We really, really want to get the tennis courts resurfaced. It'd be great if it was ready before the June 6th pickleball tournament, but if you guys could think about that, and we have Kyle and Steph been looking for proposals to see what the cost factor would be. But I know this, again, it's Bel Air Beach, and our tennis courts should look beautiful. I don't play tennis or pickleball, but I have seen the big cracks in it. So just something that we would, Parks and Rec, would like you guys to think about and see if there's anything that you guys can help us with. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Does anyone have questions or comments? Yes.
2 quick questions. Do you have any data on how many people actually went through CPR training and how many donated
Ask
blood?
him, because I asked him that and I cannot remember. But he was really excited because he had 2 nice groups. because he could only do so many at a time, because it was in the conference room.
Yeah, I was in one.
Oh.
And then how many people donated blood?
Oh, that's a real good one, because we didn't have but 2 or 3, and then the lady came in here and she recruited a bunch of the vendors.
Oh, that's great.
But I'm sorry, I don't have those numbers for you, but it was a good turnout, much better than the previous year when we had, I think, 25 vendors and 50 residents.
Wow.
And we had a lot more residents this time.
It was a good event. You did well.
Well, thank you.
They had 9 successful procedures, which touched 27 patients. So nine procedures, and it affected 27 people it helped for blood.
Or giving blood. Isn't that great?
Oh, that's great to know. Good.
Thank you, Kyle.
Other comments or questions? Yes, Mr. Baker?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if this would be your wheelhouse, but I got a couple of complaints about people using the tennis courts and not relinquishing the court after they're done their game, staying on there for over an hour. Non-residents, and I said, hey, we took state money years ago with it, so we had to open it up to anybody. But a lot of towns and cities have time limits. After you're done one game, another person can jump in and play the winner. I don't know anything about tennis, I don't know anything about pickleball, but I was also told we could put 4 pickleball courts there. And one council member did, when I brought this up at the work session, she did mention that some of the courts are in very bad shape. I didn't go over and look at them, and it could be a tripping hazard.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you could set times, if that's something.
Well, I
council
think
can-
we could come up with a sign that is worded very nicely to, and hang it inside at time limit. I mean, and the other thing was, I was hoping that, I know these non-residents have to pay for parking, right? So maybe some of that could go towards fixing it.
A lot of them use electric bikes.
I have a couple questions.
All right, Councilmember Shirley.
We had a lot of requests, and those requests require money. Do you have a budget for any of those items? Is that something you can pull together and supply to the city manager so we can consider that when we're...
Well, actually, the city manager supplies me with a budget, but he and I could discuss it, yes, and say what can go where.
I mean, just make sure we have a complete list
Right.
of all those wishes. There's some landscaping that needs to be purchased, it sounds like,
Yeah, and that's very minimal, is what I was told. Cost on it. The major things are the tennis court and a workout thing. And again, the workout thing is in the future whenever we can.
We have a pull-up bar, is that too hard for you?
Are you kidding? Look at that.
I laugh because that's what I do. Pull up, that's enough.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much. What an excellent report, and thanks for all your hard work and for serving our community.
Well, I enjoy it.
All right, and for putting up with Vice Mayor Roberts. So we have no planning and zoning report, is that correct? Correct. All right, up next is the city attorney report. Take it away, Tom Trask.
Nothing to report today.
Okay. Any questions or comments for the city attorney? None? All right. Let's move right over to number 7, the city manager report. Take it away, Kyle.
You may start off with the 8th Street rehabilitation project, so the stormwater pipes. The lining for the pipes went in on March 20th, and we are waiting. Jen and I got the videos, they need to review them, so I'd like them to just verify that the product was installed correctly. And then we will, pay them out, and then we need to put back the valve that we had in place at the seawall. The contractor put back the plug, so we're still preventing the tidal backflow, like we were previous to repairing the pipe, but our staff will get that valve replaced. We talked briefly about code review. We're going to cover the new sign ordinance in the next work session. And I need to bounce back to couple things we skipped over on chapter 94. And then we're going to bring back the rental registration section of the code just to review that. But outside renters to a stricken through underlying form that I'm going to provide to Attorney Trask to draft up ordinances, get the revisions that we planned to pass. And then did some double checking and updating with Duke Energy. There was some word that maybe the permits weren't completely worked out, but I verified that all our permits are in place, so we are still waiting for a 4-inch conduit, which is needed to put in the rest of what conduit needs to go in the phase 2 north of Causeway Boulevard, and then it'll be up to Duke to pull the wires and energize the system.
Let me stop you 1 second. Duke is so lucky that they come to the Big C meetings because they have to deal with both Kyle and me at the same time. So every time I walk near them, you can see them roll in their eyes. They don't want to hear it, but they know that we're trying to get it done for our community. And I appreciate all your hard work on that, Kyle.
Thank you, Mayor. The fire chief mentioned that they purchased the property, that there was an alternative in Earmarks Beach, similar to our situation. They're going to create the auxiliary station while they're repairing their main station. So that said, it still leaves us with the decision on the 1,001 Cedar Drive structure. It's in the stripped out, dried out, just nothing's been done outside of that condition. We got insurance money that I mentioned about 70 to 80,000. I think it was in the high 70s. Money for the claim, but in the condition of the house and the age of the house, it doesn't make sense to me to put it back to restoring it to like quasi-livable structure that was waterproof. Now the AC system's shot, there's water leaking in the roof, and then obviously all the damage. So my recommendation would be, in the state of the structure, that we at least demolish it down to the slab, because I believe the lot space is usable to the Public Works Department. We still have the detached garage in the back of the lot. We've found a way to store our stuff using this building and that building. And the extra space of where the house sits now, let alone it's just dangerous sitting there, would be beneficial to the staff. And down the line, we could think about developing the rest of the lot to benefit the city. The one concern would be maintaining a friendly residential appearance to the residents of the Mount Cedar Drive. So I propose extending. We currently have a vinyl fence that runs the west side of the parking lot that was put in place when this building was built, mainly to provide screening for cars driving around later at night, even shotgun houses. But to extend that fence down to enclose the lot as part of the main lot, and then possibly looking at some sort of ramp to provide access from our main lot down to that lot for the Public Works Department. I did receive quotes back in late summer, early fall, and my lowest quote at that time, I asked for another estimate, and it came back at the same base price. So we're looking at, for a full demolition of that house, the best price I found was about $13,950. But then when I asked if we were to leave the slab in place, it would knock off about $3,000. So right now the best price I'm finding for the demolition only would be about $11,000. And then one thing we need to consider is moving the power meter and service off of that structure and getting it to the detached building, because that's where the meter is currently located in the old building. My plan, unless there's other alternative options or suggestions from the council, would be to go get some more quotes for demolishing the structure down to the slab concrete, and then relocating the electrical service so that there's power back to the detached building. And then I will entertain the fencing quotes as part of the demolition to see if there's any cost savings there, but I would also look at some other outside fence companies. All right. That's something that I will progress with this month, getting more quotes, and then we can bring it back up at the work session. Perfect. Makes me a good plan.
I think it's a great idea, Kyle.
Thank you.
Good job.
So we just went over the act first, so that is wrapped up and completed. As far as hurricane recovery, coming up the 1st of May, we have the deadline for the storm, after storm permitting page and guide as part of the Senate Bill 180. We've been reviewing other cities' designs of pages. City of Baltimore, where I used to work, shared theirs, and our staff is working to do the best version of what we think will provide fast and efficient resources to the city residents after a storm. So hopefully, if we get any kind of level of damage or some flood inundation, it'll be much better worked out. People know where to go and understand the process. Also for hurricane preparedness, we are doing another Expo Water Safety Hurricane Preparedness event with the Charleston Coast Fire Rescue District, and that is scheduled a little later this year. We want to get closer to the start of the season, so we're aiming for Wednesday, May 6th at 6 p.m. And that is, we get our partners with the county, hurricane management, flood management. We try to get a local weather personality. The fire department, of course, will do their spiels. We get some insurance agents, if we can get some vendors that provide floodproofing and other ideas. It's a good event to just come out, learn some new things, see what's changing from the last storm there, and just talk about some strategies. I mean, we did learn a lot from the last two events, and people done a lot of changes. So it's a good community event just to share information with your neighbors. Some beach maintenance issues coming up. We've talked about this in the past. One of our walking sidewalks that provides access to the beach, there's a chain link fence that borders that, and some of the sections of the fence nearest the beach where it gets the most salt water, it's corroded and it needs to be replaced. Not all of it. In comparing like the sections of fence and the worst, I believe 90 feet is really what's needed to bring it back up to a safe condition. And we did pull some quotes for that. The lowest one we got was just under $5,000. But I just would like to, move forward with having money in our operating budget to make that replacement. But I think it is something that is due for replacement. I definitely agree with that. We are, as part of the nourishment permit, we are required, I'm not sure if I'm sure you've been made aware, or if you've seen it before, there's a ledge that forms when they do the nourishment, and they extend the beach out, and then as soon as you get a significant storm tide, it comes in and it starts washing out that sand, and then as you go up that grade, it cuts off like a ledge, which creates a drop-off situation. When it's fresh and they just re-nourish the whole beach, the ledge can be significant. I think it was close to 6 to the higher feet. Possibly it was higher the past time we trucked in all the sand, but this time it was still about 6 feet. But as part of that permit, before trail season starts, which is May 1st, we need to knock down it's called escarpment. And we called the turtle patrols, and they're going to start beginning their patrols on April 15th, which will require that we get clearance from them before going out on the beach to perform any work. So we're aiming to, we think a good day would be the 14th. We're trying to get it close to when we're required to have this done, because what happens is we already went out there for a week and did what we could. And once the water comes back up again, it washes it back out and creates a new ledge. So Indian Rocks Beach is something similar in-house with equipment and got signed off on. So that's our plan. But it would require, we feel that it would be most efficient with the beach traffic out there, that we get 2 machines out there early in the morning with advance notice, so that we can do a lot of that work before the traffic comes out there and people start getting away and occupying machines. So I wanted to pass along that plan and see if we had any objection or other suggestions to take care of this responsibility.
Council, everybody okay with that? Yes.
It's a great idea. It's good.
Thank you, Brett.
Is it just a gradual slope? Like right now we have a wall of sand.
Right. It cuts it off, so we're going to try to knock it and just get it to grade out. So that, it gets loose again, and then the water will cut it again until the beach recedes.
Okay.
As much
I think it actually slows the process whenever you do that also. Instead of just giant walls falling over, it's a more gradual effect.
And then I did not get a chance to test it, but we did get him a short expanse of one of those mobility mats. Other beaches have used them, but there's been, since they've nourished, it's been tough for some of the older residents that have mobility issues to get up over the loose sand. So we're going to try that to improve the situation. And if it works well, and we get good feedback, and we're thinking about Morgan Park in the next location, because it's the highest used. And then we have Jim and our city engineers looking at some masonry wall designs. Now this kind of came up as we were getting those high wind events after the nourishment, blowing a lot of sand over the sidewalk into Gulf Boulevard into the parking lots. And it was talked after the flood events of trying to build some fortification against surge water and movement of sand. So, when you price out building walls, it's not a cheap endeavor using contractor. So we're evaluating if this is something we can do in-house, or we do have some guys with experience. And if the city can, do a plan, a design, and the permitting in-house with our staff to fortify the city better for storms, and something we're interested in. So we're exploring that. We had some more traffic concerns. The spring break always brings some comments about the traffic, the speed, the noise crossing the Gulf Boulevard. So this is not the first time I've heard this, but if you drive down Gulf Boulevard, most of the areas do have 30-mile-an-hour zones, but there are some different cities, including us, that have a 35-mile-an-hour zone. And it's been asked to give serious consideration to reduce the speed, mainly for the sake of safety. This kind of goes hand in hand with some complaints I've gotten at the 19th Street crosswalk. And that there's been more focus on that, where neighbors and residents in that area are getting frustrated with the traffic and pressing the button. The lights are flashing and the cars are going until they have to walk out to I guess, have them be seen if they're going to cross the walk. There's different suggestions for this. Again, obviously, if you slow the traffic down, it makes a safer situation, but, slowing the traffic down causes slower travel. So you could, as far as crosswalk situations, we could ask if you're aware, the county did put in those crossing signals, but they will maintain them, but they bill us for them. So they maintain that road. That addition, I believe that they would do any additional safety measures, but I think it would be able to cost the city, which, that's not as extreme as lowering the speed limit, but would maybe provide a safer situation for people crossing the road, something to consider.
I think this is a topic that I would definitely like to take to a work session, just to see if the general feeling of this council is different than the last, or the one before that. because we've tried or considered reducing speed, and we've considered speed tables and speed humps on some of the side streets, and everybody wants everyone to slow down except for on their street, and that's just the way the general vibe has been every time we've had this conversation. But I'd like to have it again, just to go through this exercise once again, and I think really it's something that every council should have a discussion at least once, just to see how everyone feels and if we're still on the same page. So I'm not sure about this next work session. It sounds like we've got a full load. Maybe the next one, if the council's good with that.
Mr. Mayor, I brought this up years ago to former city manager, and I said, why does it go from 30 miles an hour at 28th Street in Indian Rocks to 35? And one of the reasons was, well, they have more crosswalks, they have businesses, so they keep the speed down. I said, well, we have crosswalks, we don't have businesses. Then he said, if I remember correctly, Bel Air Shores wanted it at 35, so can we make that decision ourselves, and would we have to get their consensus if we would lower it to 30?
That's a good question. I can explore that with the county.
All right.
I'm not sure if they thought about it until now.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, anything else?
The only other thing, it was brought up, I know they redrew the turning at the intersection of Causeway and Golf, and it did improve it. But the stop bar backing up, I think it was one of the original things you brought up, was brought up again by some residents. So I was going to ask the county, because originally when I asked, they wanted to do their recommendations before doing that. But they do it in other areas of the county, so I wanted to see what they said, because if we could give a little bit more space, you see people sit back from it anyways, so.
Yeah, it doesn't involve moving the crosswalk, it's only the stop bar for the vehicles. I mean, yeah, I'm not even sure why they didn't do it this time, but I appreciate you reaching back out on that, because it's definitely a problem.
Yeah, and then along that line, I was, because they do it, that's what they do. I was going to ask them about the crosswalk and what the recommendations are. See what they say.
On the crosswalk, I suspect that there'll be a pushback because that involves money, moving the actual walk signs and the buttons.
Maybe like additional ones further, like
I don't know.
that was one suggestion, make it more obnoxious because you see some areas that have more lights.
Right.
Can they change the color? Just, because I don't think people necessarily see those white lights, that you're looking at so many things, and I think they don't always see it.
I think they're actually yellow. They're yellow. But
We're talking, there's two types of crosswalks. The one is at the main intersection, which is talk to the hand, don't talk to the hand. And then the other one is you push a button and get instant gratification. And unfortunately, a lot of people will push that button as they're walking into the street. So there is some personal responsibility on those crosswalks also, and not just the drivers, but the driver's not paying attention, and neither is the pedestrian. Sooner or later, someone's going to get hit.
Yeah.
Go back to the flags that we used to have. My daughters love them. Do you remember the flags?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right, anything else, city manager?
That's my full report. Thank you.
Okay.
One thing, Mr. Mayor, if we could get put back on the agenda the discussion of the tower, because the tower is back. And I say, a bunch of complaints. I actually sent, Kyle, I actually sent you, one of the residents dug up, I guess, a clear roof node. I don't know, just forward that to the attorney.
I had a question about our current code.
Okay. Thank you.
There's always that one nuisance that no matter what, it just won't go away.
Well, I thought it was going, like I said, and you said, talk about spiking the ball, and about a week later, it was back, and now it's got this big mass on it. Now they're saying it's interfering with cell phone service. I don't think it was ever inspected after the storm in 2024, but for another night.
All right, any questions or comments for the city manager before we move over to the city clerk report? No? Yes, Vice Mayor.
Just quickly on the Cedar Drive, I know we sent out a questionnaire for the citizens about 3 or 4 different options. One of them was the potential of selling the property. I was not in favor of that because I was in favor of assisting the fire department, but now that's off the table. So I'm just wondering our thoughts on, I don't remember the voting, is how it panned out. Do you recall off the top of your head, taking away the fire department option, what percentage of people were interested in selling the property?
Very small.
Pretty low in the county.
You are aware it requires a referendum. It would have to show.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I'm just wondering if that's something that may not be a bad option at this point, since we're not going to be assisting. You would be a better person to respond actually how important that property is to Public Works. But if it's something that we don't necessarily need for the Public Works Department, then it may be something to consider to get the revenue from that property.
Currently with the structure, the garage built and the way we're using it, and I think just the value of the proximity of that lot built off of this main lot, I think it's valuable to us and worth keeping for some function. But that's just
I agree completely. We need a maintenance facility. They built this building, and don't ask me why, they provided for no maintenance facility. And we need a maintenance facility, to the point where I think we need an additional garage over there. So when the building structure comes down, there should be a budget for that, for additional garage space.
I would also like to agree with the idea that taking the Cedar property, encompassing the City Hall property by a fence is a much cleaner proposition for the neighbors, and it's a much more cohesive look and feel for the city.
If we take that building down and put another garage up, are we going to have FEMA violations for flood elevations since it's in the flood zone?
as long as we're not using it for like living space, if it's garage owned.
Some other cities have got jammed up, tearing down their whole building, and then wanting to erect like a two-door building or whatever, and they said it's in a floodplain. If you have information, I can use that very quickly.
Okay.
Anything else?
One additional thing on the traffic concerns. And I apologize, I forgot Tom's last name. It was the transportation director of the county.
Washburn.
Tom Washburn. He explained to me that there's a better option we could actually take a look at with the crosswalks. That was a 2-light system that they've implemented in the county, where the first light was X distance away from the actual crosswalk on both sides that flashed yellow, and then at the crosswalk itself was a red flashing light. So if somebody who's not familiar with the area would see that first yellow light flashing, going, what's that? And then it would help them understand that at the crosswalk, in fact, there's a red flashing light for them to stop. Because I agree with what the mayor said, and I tell any and all of my friends and family, do not ever just press that button and assume the traffic's going to stop, especially this time of year, because people don't know what's going on. I've seen 5 consecutive cars go right through the yellow flashing light, and they don't really think they're doing anything wrong. They don't even know it's there. I think that dual purpose light would help you wake up a little bit before the actual crosswalk, which gives you time to respond to the red flashing light. I don't know what the cost is would be to the city, but it would definitely be safer.
I crossed that beaches and hit the button. The deputy was sitting in there, and he got 6 feet and went through the light. My foot was out in the street.
What street?
6th Street, and he just kept going.
Yeah.
And he's like nodding his head, like he's just counting. And flying out
Very dangerous.
all over.
If it was a 2-light system, I think that would be worth finding out what the cost is.
Sometimes I wonder if we'd be better off putting blue lights so that they flash behind the car. All right, let's move on to the city clerk report. How you doing, Kathy?
Good. I don't have anything other than what's in the report.
Okay. Well, would anyone like to ask Kathy a question or make a comment?
Great job.
Thank you.
You are doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to Seeing you take over the big city. All right, next up are citizen comments. Would any citizen like to speak tonight? How about in our Zoom meeting? Anyone up there? No hands up? All right, well, citizen comments are now closed. Since there are no citizen comments, I'm assuming the city manager has no follow-up. Is that correct? That's correct. All right. Now we are on to the consent agenda. This is items number 10 and 11. Approval of the March 2nd, 2026 City Council meeting minutes and approval of the March 23rd, 2026 City Council work session minutes. Do I have a motion to approve? Okay. I'm going to give that one. Who was that? Oh, Mr. Harper. I'll give you that one. And who did I have a second on this end? Motion. Okay. Frank Baker. All right. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. The consent agenda passes. All right. Now we are on to the regular agenda. This is item number 13, consideration of ordinance 2026-01. Take it away, Tom.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance 2026-01. I'm going to read it by title only. It's an ordinance of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, amending section 94-209 Heights of Division 3, Residential Low RL, District 2, of Article 4 Districts of Chapter 94 Zoning of the Land Development Code of the City of Bel Air Beach Code of Ordinances by decreasing the garage floor elevation in the Residential Low RL District 2 from 24 to 18 inches above the ground of the road for parcels located along Gulf Boulevard. Maintain garage floor elevation not to exceed 24 inches above the ground of the Gulf Boulevard, providing for codification, severability, and providing for an effective date. That was the second final reading of ordinance 2026-01. It was first read on March 2nd, 2026. There have been no changes since the first reading.
All right. Has this ordinance been published?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's go to the citizens for comments. Would anyone like to speak? All right, no takers. Now we're back to the council. Council, I'm going to need a motion to approve this ordinance.
So moved.
That was
Jody.
Shirley. Do we have a second? Second. A second. All right, and discussion. Any questions or comments? No? All right, well, in that case, let's take it to a vote.
Councilmember Frank Bankert.
Yes.
Councilmember Kimberly Shaw Elliott.
Yes.
Councilmember Todd Harper.
Yes.
Councilmember Jody Shirley.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lloyd Roberts.
Aye.
Mayor Dave Gaddis.
Aye. And so the ordinance 2026-01 passes unanimously. Now we will move on to item number 14, which is consideration of ordinance 2026-02. This will be the first reading. Mr. Trask, you are up.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a follow-up to the workshop meeting where you had a presentation made by my partner, Rob Weschenfelder, for the procurement code. This is that ordinance. I'm going to read the ordinance by title only. Ordinance 2026-02, an ordinance of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, repealing Division 1 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of the City Code, creating a new Division 1 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of the City Code concerning procurement, making related findings, providing for codification, severability, and for an effective date. That was the first reading of ordinance 2026-02 by title only. I want to bring to your attention there have been a couple of changes. On page 21 of the agenda packet, in the ordinance, in paragraph number 4 on page 21 of the ordinance, we changed the reference from section 2-364 to 2-19. That was a typographical error. And I also want you to know that we are changing the signature element of page 26 of the ordinance. Instead of reading for the councilors of the City of Bel Air Beach, it's going to read the City Council of the City of Bel Air Beach. So So we want to get that accurate. So those are the revisions that have been made since you reviewed it at the work session. That's required public hearing.
All right, and are these changes drastic enough to where it requires amending, or?
No, it does not.
All right, good deal. All right, you want to give us a brief summary as to what this does?
Well, it's the same ordinance that was provided to you in the work session that Rob Eschenfelder, who is our procurement specialist, has created for the city to basically give the city more options to more clearly define and give direction to city staff when they're doing solicitations for purchase of services and materials that the city needs. Is modifying the purchase threshold to $75,000, and it addresses debarment and piggybacking that was necessary to make it a little bit easier for the city to function in the purchase of services and goods.
Thank you, Mr. Trask. Before we call for a motion, I'm going to go to the public for citizen comments. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2026-02? Seeing that we have none, citizen comments are now closed. Council, I'm going to need a motion for approval of ordinance 2026-02 in the first reading.
Motion.
I'm going to give that one to Councilmember Bankert. Was that Councilmember Shirley?
Yes.
All right, for the second. All right, council comments? Mr. Baker, you have the floor.
I think this is just more of a cleanup of our current ordinance. That's all I have to say.
Any other comments? All right, Kathy, let's take a vote.
Councilmember Bankert?
Yes.
Councilmember Elliott?
Yes.
Councilmember Harper?
Yes.
Councilmember Shirley?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Roberts?
Aye.
Mayor Davis?
Aye. So the first reading passes unanimously. We will feature this one again in next month's meeting. All right, now we are moving on to item number 15, which is consideration of resolution 2026-01.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take over from here. This is Resolution 2026-01, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, calling for a general election to be held on November 3rd, 2026, for the purpose of electing a mayor for a full term of office, a city council member for a full term of office, and a council member for the remaining tenure of the recently vacated council member position. To establish the qualifying date and process for persons seeking elective office for the 2026 municipal election, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the supervisor of elections establishing a polling place for the November 2026 election, authorizing the Pinellas County Supervisor of Elections to verify candidate petition cards and facilitate the election process, and providing for an effective date. That was the reading of Resolution 2026-01 by title only. Some of the important portions of this resolution are the qualifying period is going to begin on June 15, 2026 at noon, and it's going to end on Friday, June 19, 2026 at the close of business. Section 4 of the resolution specifically talks about the outcome of the election on November 3rd, specifically setting forth that the outcome of the election for mayor is expected to serve a full election term and will be determined in favor of the candidate receiving the greatest number of votes. The second two, under subparagraph B and C, the outcome election for city council member seat, which is expected to fill the full election term, shall be determined in favor of the candidate receiving the greatest number of votes, followed then by the second city council member seat, that will be determined in favor of the candidate receiving the second greatest number of votes. That's so we can determine because they're different terms. The polling place will be here at City Hall. It will be open on November 3rd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The canvassing board will be the Pinellas County Canvassing Board. As mentioned in the reading of the title, the Pinellas County Supervisor of Elections is authorized to verify the candidate petition cards. We're also authorizing the city clerk to make any technical changes in the application of this resolution if it's required by the supervisor elections. So,
All right, thank you, Tom. Before we go to the council, we have to go to the citizens for comments. Would anyone like to speak? All right, no takers. Citizen comments are now closed. Council, I'm going to need a motion to approve Resolution 2026-01.
Motion.
Motion is made by Councilmember Shirley. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Councilmember Elliott. Anyone like to speak on this, Judy? No? It's pretty straightforward. We know the gig on this. All right. In that case, Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Bankert,
No.
Councilmember Elliott,
Yes.
Councilmember Harper,
Yes.
Councilmember Shirley,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Roberts,
Aye.
Mayor Gaddis.
Aye. So that passes 5-1. And we're moving on. Now we are on to consideration of Resolution 2026-02, a resolution of, go ahead, Tom, sorry about that. Getting a little ahead of myself here.
thank you, Mayor. This is Resolution 2026-02, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, requesting that Pinellas County and Pinellas County Suncoast Fire and Rescue District cooperate to allocate a portion of the property known as the T Gardens property located in Indian Shores for the construction of a fire and EMS station and to improve fire and advanced life support coverage in the northern service area by the addition of one ALS position for Station 75 and one ALS position to convert Engine 27 to Rescue 27 and providing for an effective date. That was that reading of Resolution 2026-02 by title only. This is the resolution that the fire chief has been talking about the last couple of meetings. He's asking for your support in those activities that I mentioned in the reading of the title.
Thank you, Tom. Would any citizen like to speak on this topic? All right. No one would like to speak, so citizens' comments are now closed. Council, I'm going to need a motion to approve Resolution 2026-02.
So moved.
Second, Elliott?
Yes.
All right, and do I have a second? Second. Was that Frank Baker? All right, comments from Councilmember Elliott?
Anything that will improve our responsiveness and be able to provide better for the health of our community, I think is something we should do.
Other comments? I agree with you 100%. Any area that can be reinforced in our fire district makes us stronger. So this is a no-brainer resolution in full support. That being said, Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Bankert,
Yes.
Councilmember Elliott,
Yes.
Councilmember Harper,
Yes.
Councilmember Shirley,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Roberts,
Aye.
Mayor Gaddis.
Aye. So resolution 2026-02 passes unanimously. Thank you very much, everyone. All right, now we are on to item number 17. This is authorization for the city manager to execute a purchase order with American Underwater Contractors, Inc. for the installation of 16 waterway markers at a total cost of $23,408. City Manager, you're up.
Yes, this is correct for the replace or the install of 16 the regulation markers. This is on the Gulf Boulevard, manually propelled vessel only beach area. And we received our lowest quote from the American Underwater Contractors Incorporated, and we received another quote that was slightly higher by Marsh Marine. They were the ones that did our seawall, and then Dexdocs and Seawall company was used for some other things, was not able to provide a quote at this time, and we feel confident in the work that American Underwater Contractors has done for us in the past, and would like to move forward in approving a purchase order to execute this install.
All right, let's go to the citizens for comments. Oh, all All right, citizen comments now closed. I'm going to need a motion to authorize the city manager to execute this purchase order with American Underwater Contractors. Do I have a motion? Motion is made by Frank Baker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Shirley. Mr. Baker, you're up.
Unfortunately, for safety, we need to do this. We've had them for years. We need to put it back.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Other comments? Questions for the city manager?
I just have a question. So the ones that we're putting back, how, if any, are they different than the ones that were there previously, as far as the process to install?
They should be the exact same way as the last install, because we did this new permit, it was finalized in 2023, and there was an all-new install at the time with the helical anchors by Underwater, American Underwater.
Okay.
So it should be the exact same install. The reason we waited longer, because originally we were going to wait till just past hurricane season, but we had longer for the nourishment project to finish, because that in turn changes the marker placement.
Basically the distances and things.
Yeah, but I think it goes usually from about 300 feet out to less than 100.
Okay. In your opinion, is there anybody that, from a technology standpoint, has come up with what you might consider a better system, although it'd be more expensive, to where, I mean, I realize it's difficult to determine what type of a storm would take anything out.
Yeah, I mean, with the buoy anchor on like some kind of tether or chain, like they're going to break free. We discussed with some other cities who elected to do the piling instead of a buoy, but when we discussed it, we thought it might be a little more dangerous. I thought it was a
Okay.
solution.
Any other questions or
I
comments?
just want to add to that, they did use piles in San Key, and some of the piles popped up and are floating on the beach. So it's not only that it's a safety issue, but I guess with the wave movement, they don't stay in place.
Been in that deep you go, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, imagine one of those crashing through your house in a storm surge.
Not a good idea.
Other comments or questions? All right. Well, in that case, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, you are authorized. Thank you. All right, now we are on to item number 18, authorization for the city manager to execute an interlocal agreement with Pinellas County for the designation of collection and removal responsibilities within geographic Pinellas County. Mr. Riefler, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. So this goes hand in hand with the next item. We've done these interlocal agreements with the county for disaster preparedness since Hurricane Irma to streamline bringing in debris removal contractors that are pre-qualified and under the FEMA standards so that we can get a full reimbursement. And this particular interlocal agreement establishes who is responsible for the debris pickup in the different areas of the county, and it basically we're responsible for what we're responsible, our jurisdiction, what we're responsible for prior storms, and I'd like to execute this with the county along with we'll get to the next one, which is another re-up for the debris removal, debris monitoring interlocal agreement. So these interlocal agreements have benefited the city, and we work closely with the county, so this is good preparation for storms.
All right, thank you, Mr. Riefler. Before we move forward, let's go to the citizens for comments. Would anyone like to speak? No one on Zoom? No?
No.
All right. In that case, citizen comments are now closed. Council, I'm going to need a motion for approval of this interlocal agreement with Pinellas County.
So moved.
I'm going to give that one, was that you? Okay, to Elliot, and second was Vice Mayor Roberts. All right, discussion. Yeah.
It's an important situation for us to be able to communicate, cooperate with our neighboring communities. We're stronger together and we're probably more efficient and more cost effective. So I'm in favor of this.
All right. Other comments? None? All right, since this is an interlocal, let's just go ahead and do a voice vote. Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Bankert?
Yes.
Councilmember Elliott?
Yes.
Councilmember Harper?
Yes.
Councilmember Shirley?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Roberts?
Aye.
Mayor Gaddis?
Aye. So passes unanimously. You are authorized to execute the agreement. City Manager Reefer. Now we'll move on to item number 19, authorization for city manager to execute another interlocal agreement with Pinellas County for the disaster debris collection and removal services and disaster debris monitoring and management services within geographic Pinellas County. Take it away, Mr. Reefer.
Thank you, Mayor. So this was the first interlocal agreement that the county proposed to work with the municipalities. And in the last two events, it worked out very well for us where we expended close to $1 million in debris removal and monitoring services. It looks like our budgetary number is still holding true, but it's not a. You always want to be aware that we got 8 feet of water, and it could have been 12 feet of water, and made things worse. So always something to consider. But I think the county provides a very good preparedness plan. It works well with the cities, and this goes in line with that. And we'd like to continue with this interlocal agreement.
All right, thank you very much. Let's go to the citizen for comments on this topic. Anyone like to speak? All right, I'll take that as a no. Citizen comments are now closed. Council, I'm going to need a motion to provide authorization to the city manager to execute this interlocal agreement concerning disaster debris collection and removal services.
So moved.
Motion is made by Vice Mayor Roberts. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm going to give that one to Mr. Harper. Vice Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think any tool that we can provide for our city manager that will help him and his staff protect our city is a good thing.
Any other comments? Mr. Reefer, we also have a backup plan, is that correct, with Largo?
Yeah, well, that's part of, now with that Senate Bill 180, you have to have either registered debris site management with the DEP or a memorandum of understanding, which we have in Largo, which you use that lot 14.
Okay. So if you don't know Mayor Brown, or you do know him rather, you run into him, tell him thank you for helping us out. Back to this. Since it's an interlocal agreement, first off, do we have any more comments?
Where is that line?
So that's like the hobby airplane lot that's kind of behind the park area. It's a big central park area.
Okay.
If you were to go beyond, like driving south of that, you're right behind
Got it. Okay.
it. It'll stand out if you go on a Saturday.
Anything else? All right. Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Bankert?
Yes.
Councilmember Elliott?
Yes.
Councilmember Harper?
Yes.
Councilmember Shirley?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Roberts?
Aye.
Mayor Gaddis?
Aye. So you are authorized unanimously to proceed. All right, now we are on to item number 20, which is consideration of reappointment of Park and Recreation Board members. All right, Kathy, you want to fill us in on what's going on here?
Sure. So we had Michael Leaks and John Wagner, whose terms are up to expire at the end, it looks like Michael's expired at the end of 2025 and John's is set to expire this month. And so they would both like to be reappointed to the board or committee.
All right. So before we go any further, would any citizen like to speak on this topic? And as we have no takers, citizen comments are now closed. Council, this is for consideration, this motion is for consideration, a reappointment of Leaks and Wagner to the Planning and Zoning Board. I'm sorry. Yes, I started on this page and wound up writing on that page. Bear with me here. All right, for reappointment to the Parks and Rec Board, that is Leaks and Wagner. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion's made by Frank Baker. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm going to give that one to Vice Mayor. All right. You have the floor, sir.
Both great guys, hard workers. Our director wants him back, so we should put him back.
All right, great. Do we need to do a voice vote, or can we just do all in favor?
All in favor is fine. Voice vote, yes.
Okay, all right. Well, in that case, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. If you see them, thank them. It's great to have people step up and to do it multiple times. This is awesome. All right, now we're back to item number 21, which is consideration of reappointment to the Planning and Zoning Board. Kathy?
So on the planning and zoning, we have Doug Prescott, who has been serving. His term has expired, and he stopped in and filled out his application to be reappointed.
All right. So we have Doug Prescott up for reappointment to the Citizen Advisory Committee.
Or he is on the planning and
You
zoning.
know what? There's too many of these on one line. Just, I'm going to get the city attorney to do this for me because I'm messing it up so bad tonight. Let me try that again. All right. So this is for consideration of reappointment of planning and zoning board members, and that would be Doug Prescott. Let's go to the citizens for comment. None. All right, citizen comments are now closed. Have we already done a motion on this? Because I am so confused right
Not on Doug.
Okay, all right. So this is, I need a motion for reappointment of Doug Prescott to the Planning and Zoning Board.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I heard a couple of motions. I'm going to give that one to Jody Sherman. And then the second one's Tarvin Harper, is that correct? Right. All right. Comments?
My only comment is, I don't recall ever seeing this many reappointments, so clearly Kathy's keeping up on some past expiration dates, and thank you for keeping us in line. Appreciate it.
Great job. All right, any other comments? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. If you see Mr. Prescott, please congratulate him and thank him. All right, now let me make sure that I've got this right. We're on to item number 22, and this is for consideration of reappointment of Citizen Advisory Committee members. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. You want to give us the details, Kathy?
Actually, yes. Citizen Advisory, most of our members on that board were due now to be reappointed, and so I heard back from all of them. I think Mark Goldman said he would be on Zoom tonight, but I don't know if he made it.
I saw Mark Goldman on Zoom.
Okay. So they've all insinuated they would like to be reappointed to the board, so
Can we have the list of names?
I'm sorry, you can. So it's Ron Saganic, Mark Goldman, Robert Risberg, and Thomas Elliott.
All right, so it's Goldman, Saganic, Rutherford, and Elliott. Is that right? Reesberg.
Reesberg. Yes.
He
Tim
was just sitting right out there too.
Tim Hollick is not due at this time, so he's the other member on the board.
Okay, so Hollick is not in. All right, so we have 4. All right, let's go to the citizens for comments. None? All right, citizen comments are now closed. All right, so this is for consideration of reappointment of Citizen Advisory Committee members Goldman, Saganic, Reesberg, and Elliott. I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
So that's, which one was that?
That was Kim.
Okay. All right, motion is made by Elliott. Do I have a second? Second. Was that Frank Baker? All right. Comments?
This is an important committee, and it has quite a few members who have served for a while, and experience is important here, I believe. They deal with audit issues, and they deal with a lot of very complicated special matters that arise occasionally. So they've all served well, and I recommend that we approve this motion.
Thank you very much for those comments. Do we have any others?
Is there any reason why we have 4 expiring in 1 month? Just curiosity. Because it is an important board.
I am not sure
I think it's
why.
probably when we spooled it up originally, because we didn't have this prior to a few councils ago.
I think you're right.
And it was spooled up right before budget season, so I think that was the reason.
And so what we would need to do, not this go around, but next go around, we might need to consider making into where they expire alternating.
I hate to lose 3, you know what I'm saying?
And theoretically, we could have lost all 5.
Right, that's right. Okay.
So that's a good call on that, and thanks for speaking up.
Mayor, can I know 2 of them are on Zoom, and we want to see if they want to say
Oh,
anything?
sure. I was not aware that they were on Zoom. All right, who's on Zoom? And if you'd like to address the council, please come and speak to us. Mr. Goldberg? Okay. All right, well, let's start with Mr. Goldberg. Goldman, I'm sorry. Well, I'm just not doing well with all these names. Mark, can you hear me?
You're still muted.
Still muted?
Not getting a response.
What about Mr. Reesberg?
Oh,
I can hear you, Mr. Mayor, and I agree with the council. It's an important board. I think we do good work for the city, and I'd like to be reappointed, please.
And we greatly appreciate you volunteering. And thank you for all your hard work. And also thank you for actually being on this meeting tonight. And what about Goldman?
Might be AFK, he's not responding.
Can't get him in. Okay, that's fine. All right, well, we've allowed them to speak. Thank you for making that suggestion. And
Now he's back.
who's back?
He just raised his hand.
Hello, Mark. I think you're muted.
He was having issues earlier. He had emailed me with the speaker here. He said he could not get any sound coming through our system with the microphone here, so I don't know if he's having other issues.
All right.
Maybe we should vote before he changes.
Yeah, let's do that. And we'll invite him back to address the council meeting, please. All right. Any other comments? No? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't think so. All right. For those that can hear us, thank you so much for your service, and thank you so much for helping us out. Now we are up to consideration of reappointment to the Board of Adjustment. Kathy, who are the members?
Yes, so this is going to be for Matt Dixon. He is our alternate that Mike Kelly spoke on tonight. He has signed up and he has attended every hearing that we've had since he's become an alternate member. And he is very active and he wants to be reappointed.
And he will remain an alternate.
An alternate, yes.
All right. So let's go to the citizens for comments. Anyone like to speak about this appointment? All right. Citizen comments are now closed. So, council, I'm going to need a motion to reappoint alternate Board of Adjustments member Dixon. I believe Todd Harbert came first, and then it was Frank Baker. Mr. Harbert.
I think this is an important position. I think the idea of the level of commitment that you've shown and my colleagues referral is being wise.
All right. Other comments? Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, if you see Mr. Dixon, tell him we said thank you, and we look forward to him showing up at the rest of the meetings. All right, now then, we're to item number 24, acceptance of resignation. This was from City Council Member Anders Wellings. Kathy?
We just received the email that Mr. Wellings had listed his home for sale. He's going to go spend some time with his family and in another part of the state here. So his home sold quickly, sooner than what he thought it would. And so that is his reason for resigning.
All right, and Tom, does this require anything formal?
Not really.
Not really. We accept the letter and we appreciate his service. He did absolutely step in the city's time of need whenever we were in that 5-7 trying to figure it out phase. So, and he did a lot of research and helping out on the storm drain project and the research, especially down in his area. So he'll be greatly missed, and I hope he comes back and sees us every once in a while. All right. Yes.
I was thinking the same way you were, Mr. Mayor. So what if we didn't accept his resignation? Then we'd have to say.
I guess we'd have to make a formal call to his realtor that said, sorry, you can't sell this, and he can't buy that either.
He was in his driveway today, so that maybe we can capture.
All right. Let's see here. Now we are on to number 25, which is unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business?
I think just confirming that we've posted the open council position.
It'll be posted, it's posted for 10 days, so it's posted until this coming Friday, the 10th of April.
Have you had any?
We have not received any applicants at this time.
Okay. If we are unable to fill this position, would that knock out the interim position in the election?
No, we have to fill this position because this is the one that has the open term in it.
So it's the full term?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not the full term. Because the full term is the vice mayor, and this is the partial term. But
I'm just throwing out hypotheticals here. You can't make people serve.
I would just suggest if we can't fill it, that you keep it open.
Keep it open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until you get an application.
Maybe we all should kind of reach out to our neighbors over
Yeah.
this next week and see if we can get someone to step up and serve on this.
Okay. All right. Other unfinished business? No? All right, let's go to city council comments. I'm going to start on my far left. Councilmember Elliott.
None this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Shirley.
Nothing because I'd have to get home and watch basketball game.
Councilmember Harper.
I will bit of that, no comments.
All right. Councilmember Banker.
I hope everyone had a blessed Easter. As the mayor's prayer, Gloria I ran in Homewood Street. There has been some activity this past weekend. I've been following it. Vessels are going through. I don't know if we're bombing the hell out of them tomorrow or not, but hopefully not. God bless our American servicemen.
Thank you for that. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, very quickly, although the information, the data that was presented tonight by Mr. Schatzel was informative and solid, it only helped to reinforce my decision to become an engineer and not an accountant.
You know what? I'd have to agree with you.
Yeah.
All right. I don't actually have any comments either, other than I would like to deeply apologize for botching all of these reappointments. It was a lot, and Kathy, thank you so much for supporting everyone and convincing them all to come back for another term. I know you did it. All right, with that being said,
Motion
I'll
to adjourn.
entertain a motion to adjourn. You can't actually do it until I say it.
Motion to adjourn again.
All right.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much, everyone. Good night.